Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Kyrgyz Wanderlust podcast. I'm your host, Lydia, and today I'm with a special guest. We're here with Aishola, and Aishola was born and raised in Kyrgyzstan, specifically the northern part of Kyrgyzstan, in a town called Karakol. She currently lives in Bishkek, which is the capital of Kyrgyz Republic, which is another way of saying Kyrgyzstan. So I'm so excited to talk all about her travel adventures and about her hometown and where she's from. And she's also the founder of Travel Atelier and Production 4274 Degrees, in which she leads conscious-oriented tours and assists with documentary filming in Central Asia. So she's got a lot of projects going on. We've got a lot to talk about. So I just want to give a warm welcome to Aishola. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much, Lydia, for such amazing introduction, and super happy to send greetings to everyone.
Me as well. So the first question I always start off with is, what sparked your wanderlust or your desire to travel?
When I was growing up in Karakol, it's a small town, 80,000 people living there. Maybe when I was growing up there, probably was like 40,000. And I do remember that there were always backpackers coming because there are peaks to climb and to hike. And it was very interesting because you see people who look different than you with like big backpacks, talking foreign language. And I do remember that when I was a child, I used to come and say, hi, hello, and help. There was this enthusiasm. And I was a big fan of a travel show that they used to play on the TV. And there was a lady who was always talking and traveling to other countries and trying cookies. She would just go around the market and say, oh, this one looks very nice. I'll try it. And I was like, I want that too. I want to be walking into Bazaar and get something and try it. And I think this sparked because even though I was growing up in a small town where I knew each corner of the town, but I had a sense that it's a big world. It's a big world, and I want to be part of this big world.
That's so beautiful. Yeah. I could relate so much because when you are staying in a place for so long, I think it's natural for your curiosity to wonder, like, what other corners of the world are there for me to immerse myself in. And I think for a lot of people, like in the United States at least, there's not a lot of media exposure around Central Asian countries, although that's slightly changing. But in the tourism industry, countries like Kyrgyzstan are not super popular. But because of, the lack of attention, I feel like just many people aren't aware about the culture. So I would love for you to share like some of your insights about what makes Kyrgyzstan distinct from maybe other parts of Central Asia.
That's that's very, very difficult for me probably to talk about it, as I am so into my own culture. But Kyrgyz people originally are coming from part of Russia that's called Altai. So they moved, they've been always moving around this area, and they settled down in Kyrgyzstan. Kyrgyzstan is 98% mountains. So it's very, very high peaks. We have 3 peaks that are 7,000s. The weather is pretty cold up in the mountains. And but probably because Kyrgyz people were always taking care of the cattle, so it was a very nice area to stay. Very nomadic. And I think it also describes Kyrgyz people as like free souls that even now we have the term like digital nomads, because we have the boom of IT industry and a lot of young people are going into IT, and they now calling themselves digital nomads even more because the ancestors were nomadic. Central Asia is yurts, Not that nowadays people live in the yurts, but there's still culture of people in the rural areas taking their cattle and going to the pastures during summertime to put their yurts and stay there for 3 months, milk the mares, make fermented horse milk called kumis. But at the same time, Kyrgyzstan became a part of Russian Empire, and that influence on the culture. So Kyrgyzstan became part of Soviet Union. So it's very interesting mix of very Turkic feeling, but with a very harsh Soviet influence. So it's very Asian-looking people, but talking Russian and having like a kind of interesting Soviet mindset.
And is Russian the predominant language then spoken throughout Central Asia?
It is, yes. It is still spoken. So all the Central Asians countries have different their own specific languages, like Kyrgyz driven from Turkic. So probably if we go to Turkey, we'll be able to understand. A lot of words will be similar. And we can somehow communicate with our neighbors like Kazakhstan. We can understand our neighbors from Uzbekistan. So it's very mixed. Yeah, but yeah, Russian is very, very common, especially in Kyrgyzstan, because of Soviet Union. We were part of it until 1991. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I feel like that's one part of history that we just like we don't get here, especially in the United States. Like, I wish we learned like more about other parts of the world in general, but like specifically Asia. I feel like it's just so grossly underrepresented, and that it's homogenized so much. We only focus on one or two countries in Asia as a whole, and we kind of neglect all of Central Asia, which is it's really sad. But I'm curious, like, what was it like growing up in Karakol? Like, can you describe your childhood? Like, what were some of your favorite things in your hometown?
That's very interesting. When I was in New York for the first time, I heard the phrase saying like salad bowl, right? Salad bowl. So because in New York there are so many ethnics, and so many types of people. And I was thinking, wow, this is so interesting. And suddenly I realized actually Karakol is the same. The place where I was growing up, because of the big shifts were happening during Soviet Union, a lot of people from Russia moved there. There were Tatars, Uyghurs, Dungans, so it's a denomination of people from China, and there were Ukrainians. It was a real salad bowl in Karakol. And for me, when I was growing up, I had, Dungan friends or Uyghur friends that are Muslim. And at the same time, I had very close Tatar and Russian friends who were going to the church, Orthodox church next door. And I think I was really exposed to this culture. And for me, that was absolutely fine. And it was the northern part of Kyrgyzstan. But later on, when I started traveling in Kyrgyzstan and I went to the southern part of Kyrgyzstan, I realized that the situation is totally different because over there they have bigger groups of Uzbek people living or only Kyrgyz people living, and they were not exposed to such kind of, cultural mix of people living in one place. So for me, it was... I would say sometimes that I was maybe even privileged that I was growing up in Karakol and I was always having different type of people around me.
Yeah, I think having diversity around you, especially growing up, is so important and helping you being more open-minded as you get older. And of course, you could place yourself in those environments when you grow up and you're able to choose where you live, but there's something distinct, I think, about growing up with it. Is it the same
Yeah.
in Bishkek, in the capital?
In Bishkek, yes, but here, I would say it's more internal immigrants, like a lot of young people coming from regions like me. I'm also internal immigrant that moved from Karakol to Bishkek. But here, I noticed that when I moved here, when I was 14 years old, a lot of people were primarily talking Russian. So they were denying their Kyrgyz heritage. It was very, very strong. And only the people who were coming from regions, they would talk Kyrgyz. And for a long time, I think majority of people were denying the Kyrgyz heritage for a long time. And only nowadays we are bringing up the question of the colonial, issues and what we were forgetting. Who are we? What is our language? What is our heritage, and so on.
Mm. Yeah, like keeping that cultural identity strong in the face of maybe modernization is so important. And I think that's a question a
Yeah.
lot of tourism boards are facing around the world that are opening itself up to having tourists. So on the topic of travel, like what would you say to someone who would like to travel to Kyrgyzstan? Like what are things to know? Places to visit maybe?
Mm-hmm. Kyrgyzstan is, I'm really proud to say that Kyrgyzstan is a very hospitable country. I think once you come to Kyrgyzstan, you feel that, yeah, people are free, people are very welcoming. And when you come to Bishkek, you will see a lot of Soviet buildings, and you can sense this Soviet era still in the city. There are elderly people who sometimes would be talking how nice it was during the Soviet Union times. Like, oh, it was such a nostalgia. We want to go back. There are still some Lenin statues, mosaics, very harsh Soviet buildings. But at the same time, there's this very distinct Kyrgyz culture. You would see all these ornaments and carpets and colorful embroideries everywhere, and very weird drinks, made out of I don't know, the same like fermented horse milk, that you can find in the shops, or everything is so mixed that is giving this uniqueness. Yeah. And once you go out of the Bishkek, you dive into totally different atmosphere. You go to small cute houses, or go to the farms that still have yurts next to their house, a lot of cattle. And most of the times, people are just welcoming. If they see you, you can always come inside the house. You can drink some tea, even if people don't speak any English.
Those are some of my favorite places to travel to when people just like strangers invite you into their home. It's like such a wholesome kind of way to connect with the people living there. So that's really good to know. As far as accessibility for solo travelers, like how does one get around? Is there buses, like trains? Like how do you get around? And you already mentioned the language barrier might be there, but it may be okay to communicate via Google Translate. Like what would you say about the logistics?
Uh-huh. Um, People primarily will be talking Kyrgyz and Russian, but I think you can see the enthusiasm in people. So they will be, if they see that you're a tourist, they will try to talk to you in English, saying like, where are you from? There's always a curiosity. There's always a curiosity, but a very, very healthy curiosity. And we do have marshutkas. So basically, it's a minivans, but very funny that most of them were Mercedes minivans, probably like brought from like a secondhand brought from Germany. So yeah, it's funny. It's funny to see that.
Just Mercedes driving in the streets.
Yeah, yeah. Buses. There's a train. Only very short train that goes to Isikul area. So basically, Isikul is the second biggest alpine lake in the world after Baikal Lake in Russia. It's like 700 meters deep and on a 2,000 meters.
Wow.
Yeah, so yeah, and once you're out of Bishkek, you can even get a horse and do horse riding. That's how you would move.
Wow. And would you say it's pretty affordable for, say, someone coming from the United States with American dollars to Kyrgyzstan?
Yes, yeah. So luckily, Kyrgyzstan is very, very affordable for traveling. So if you'd come to Bishkek and you want to take a bus, so it would be 20 som, which is less than $1. Less than $1 to take a bus from the airport to the city center. And of course, the taxes will be like 10, 15. But no way like 100, so it will be 10, 15, 20 dollars to get to the Bishkek, and the hotels start from $30. And if you go out in the regions, if you use your enthusiasm and talk to people, you can really just enjoy your time staying at people's places. So it can be very affordable traveling. Yeah. And of course, if you want to do like a luxury traveling, you can try to find like places where you can spend as much as you want. Get a private taxi or get a I don't know.
The sky's the limit if you have the wealth to spend.
Yeah. But at the same time, this is something that I really like, that even if you at some point don't have any money on you, I don't know, you literally lost, or you can't use online banking, you forgot cash or something, people would never be demanding money. You can hitchhike, and for people is absolutely fine. They'll be like, no, that's fine.
Wow, okay.
We'll get you there. Yeah. So in this way, I think I'm really happy that people are understanding the hospitality. Of course, I always say there's no bad nation, just bad people. Of course, there might be some bad people who would want to get something from you, but overall, the culture of people here is welcoming and hospitable to tourists.
Do you feel safe as a solo female traveler going around then?
Mm-hmm. For Central Asia, I think it's only opening up to the world, and the world is discovering Central Asia. And the only thing we had Kyrgyzstan, it was the bride kidnapping. I don't know if you ever heard of bride kidnapping. So basically, we had an issue. Kyrgyzstan had so-called tradition, which is not a tradition. It's just for a long time, men started using it as a tradition that would, benefit them to kidnap a woman, abduct her for the marriage. But for now, it's not allowed, and for solo female traveling, I would say it's absolutely fine. Of course, I would say, like in many other countries, you should be cautious of just your own safety in general. But in general, there would not be deliberate harm or deliberate intentions to hurt, a traveler. Yeah. But as I say, there are no bad nation. There are some bad people, and it's always just important to feel the surrounding, how you feel yourself and where you are, and so on. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. For me, it was so important to feel that myself. How is it like in Kyrgyzstan? Because for a long time I was thinking that it's not safe. But then when I was traveling myself, every time if someone were approaching, I would also be cautious. I was thinking, I was told that here women cannot be traveling alone, or it is very dangerous and so on. But then when I was traveling myself in my own country, I realized that it's just how you talk to people, how you perceive, and there are some people to be cautious about, and in general it's absolutely fine.
Yeah, I think that's definitely accurate. It's like it's all about how obviously the precautions you take, but then after that, just going into it, not expecting the worst, because I feel like that kind of attracts negative energy. Like you wanna put out I guess a mindset or a welcoming energy about yourself that makes people want to be welcoming back to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that's really helpful for solo female travelers to know. And then, really quickly, you mentioned some things about the gastronomy, like the food in Kyrgyzstan, such as horse milk. Is that like common? What are some common foods to try when you're in Kyrgyzstan?
Yeah, I think the most exotic one is the mare's milk. Mare's milk. So we do have a season for it. It starts at the spring, and during the summer, it's when the women milk the mares and make like a fermented horse milk. It's very specific. But very interesting to try. Most of the time, yeah, it's a very meaty gastronomy in Central Asia. A lot of dough and rice as well. But because the area is quite cold and people live high up in the mountains, so Kyrgyzstan is pretty high, most of the diet was considered of meat. Yeah. But I've been myself vegan for 5 years, even though I am Kyrgyz and I lived in Kyrgyzstan. And even though it's very uncommon to meet, it is still, possible to find vegetarian and vegan food here, especially nowadays. Yeah.
Okay, that's good to know. Yeah, wow, that must be challenging to be a vegan because I've gone to some Central Asian restaurants here in Chicago, and yeah, most of the dishes are definitely meat-based, especially like the dumplings. It's really hard to find vegetarian dumplings.
Yes, yeah. Which restaurants did you go?
I think they're primarily like Uzbekistan, like from Uzbekistan. I don't know like specifically if it's Kyrgyzstan or not, but yeah, I love the manti. I love the bread.
Yes.
Like the bread is so good. You're right that it involves a lot of dough in Central Asia, which I love. Like give me all the carbs always, and the noodles. Like I think it's called
Lagman.
lagman. Yes.
Yeah, the noodles are really good. Yeah, lagman. I think because we have borders with China, and because of that, we have slight influence of gastronomy from China. And on the south, we have Uzbekistan, and Tajikistan, so it's more ricey, and Kyrgyzstan is primarily like dough and meat.
Okay.
Yeah.
What would you say your favorite food is from Kyrgyzstan?
Oh, it's definitely lagman. Yes, noodles. Yeah.
And there's different variations, right?
Yes, yeah, different variations. And in Karakol, in the northern part, we do have very specific dish called ashlan fu. It's from Dungan people, so denomination of people that came from China. And this is like a noodle soup with starch, but it's given cold. And it's very specific taste, but it's very addictive. Once you start, eating it and get used to it, you really like it. Like the entire Kyrgyzstan, I feel like majority is obsessed with it. And only because of that soup, people would want to come to Karakol.
That's so interesting, because you would think in the northern part it'd be like warmer dishes because it's colder there.
Yes.
Okay, interesting. So I want to dive further into your solo travel endeavors, such as you said bike packing, which is basically traveling via your bicycle. And you recently completed the Silk Road mountain race. So can you talk more about that experience?
Mm-hmm. Kyrgyzstan is the part of Silk Road, and there are a lot of bikepackers come from Tajikistan and from Europe and come through Pamir roads to Silk Road and through Kyrgyzstan go to China. And I used to see a lot of cyclists, and we did have a perception that only foreigners can go through Kyrgyzstan on a bicycle. And in 2022, I did a tour around Istanbul with a female artists on a bicycle, and we did like 10 days of riding around Istanbul. And all the kids that we saw were coming up to us and shouting like, hello, hello in English. And when we'd say, oh, we're from here, they're like, are you from here? Can you really ride the bike? Like, I want to do that too. And it was so empowering for me because, when you see the foreigners, you think, oh, you can travel the other parts of the world, but not really thinking about yours, that you can be a traveler in your own country. And this gave me a feeling like I want to explore my own country and want to know more about it. So Silk Road Mountain Race, it's the ultra unsupported race that happens in Kyrgyzstan, one of the hardest races in the world. And it always brings around 100, 200 people every year. Amateurs, athletes. And I was thinking, only crazy people do the race, because the race goes through really incredibly hard mountain areas of Kyrgyzstan, up to 4,000 meters.
Wow.
And among those 200 people, there were only 3-4 men from Kyrgyzstan who participated in it. And I was thinking, when I was traveling around Istanbul, I saw girls on small bikes, and the girls texting me like, I want to do cycling, I want to explore, but I'm afraid, like, girls, can they really go solo and so on. So by the time I already had a good experience of cycling, I traveled in the other countries with the bicycle, and I thought, that's a chance. So I signed up, was preparing, and was very happy that a woman from Kyrgyzstan joined in. And for me, she's a very incredible woman. She's a mother of 2, and she works at the hospital. And here, I think people were not used to Kyrgyz women traveling. We were so used to see foreigners coming, women from other countries coming. But when you see that a woman from Kyrgyzstan traveling in her own country, that was kind of bringing up some questions. Yeah, like so. So we were a pair. The first female riders from Kyrgyzstan to participate at the Silk Road, and when we were going through villages and so on, people were coming and asking where we're from. And when we were saying from Kyrgyzstan, they were very like, wow, is it really our women also traveling? You know? Yeah. Bike traveling is pretty unique.
Absolutely. What would you say is like the most different perspective you get with biking versus traveling a different mode?
Hmm. Mm, I think when you're in a car, it can be very, very fast. Like you just like whee, and you see some things, you don't see some things. So it goes very fast. And with backpacking, sometimes it's very slow. Like it can be very, very slow. And yeah, I think the bike bikepacking was golden middle, a golden middle. You know that sometimes if you don't want to go slow in this area, you can just pedal very hard, and you just go. And at some point, if you want to go slow and have this like a slow motion feeling, you can just like ride through, stop. Want to do a detour, you can go a detour, although you have to carry everything with yourself. So
Mm.
yeah, it's a very golden middle, empowering.
I
Yeah.
would love to try it myself because whenever I'm in cities, for example, like my preferred mode is definitely bike usually instead of walking because like you said, it's like you could still see the surroundings, you're immersed in it, but you're also not going super slow. Walking could sometimes take a long time, but I've never gone traveling via bike. So by bike packing, do you mean you're going to different cities like via bike or like how does that work? Because I'm sure it may be dangerous at some points to be on the road with, I don't know, cars like on a highway or something.
Hmm. Yes, I think with the bike packing, you tend to choose like smaller roads. So you would not probably experience like big cities sometimes because you don't want to be in a big road. In a big road, you really go through picturesque roads because you stay on a small tracks with the bicycle. And I think that's a lot of option. If you want to go to the cities and explore the cities, you can go through, and it's a little easier with the bicycle, right? You don't have to try to find the parking or stuck in the traffic. You can just go through, see, and leave again to the nature. And if you're comfortable with camping, just put a tent and enjoy, I don't know, sunsets outside of the city. You
Okay.
have a lot of options. You have a lot of options for that. But I think you have to be like mentally prepared for that. Yeah, mentally prepared for that. Because bike packing is still, it's very cool experience, but with cool experience also comes like dogs, cars that you have to be watch out. Yeah, so we can't fully romanticize it. Yeah, because
You
I
have to
was
be
also
in it totally,
romanticizing.
yeah.
Yeah, romanticizing until the first dog just runs after you. But I think as a woman, when I was growing up, I not even me, but I think everyone around me put so much fear that you can't do that, you can't go up there, you can't camp, you can't cycle because what if something happens to you? You know, you're so tender, you so small, you're such a like this you always have to be scared. And when I was bikepacking myself, we did with a friend of mine, we did in Turkey, two girls cycled through Turkey or in Kyrgyzstan. At some point, I was so free. I wasn't afraid of things. I was just riding. And at some point, I was like, hold on a second. What? Why am I doing that? I'm a girl. I have to like look like a boy or be more like, um, like not feminine look, this kind of feelings. Yeah. So then you start questioning, where is it coming from?
Hmm. Yeah, there's something to that, and society tells women specifically to be fearful of the world, like even from a young age, to like be careful, not don't talk to strangers, like don't trust your instincts even,
Yeah.
and kind of just dismantling all that conditioning when you're a solo traveler, is something that I guess just takes a process and just doing it in the first place.
Yes. Yeah. I think for me, um, at some point, I really want that we take down this word female, like solo female traveler, but it would be just a solo traveler. Because when you hear solo traveler, you would just think, ah, it's a man and he can like freely travel and be absolutely fine. But when you hear a solo female traveler, at some point you start asking questions like, is everything is okay? Or, is everything going to be fine? Oh, she's a solo female traveler. Like, wow, she must be very brave and so on. But I would want it to be absolutely normal that if it's a woman, it is just a solo traveler. It's not something unique. The world has got used to it. We take it absolutely normal. And that's something that I would really want. That the girls that are growing right now can just travel anywhere and it would not be unique anymore because they're just solo travelers. And it's fine. I don't know if it makes sense.
Yes, absolutely. I think the term solo female traveler, you're right, is so stigmatized, and there's a lot of negative, like, drama and, like, societal labels or extra labels, like, around that. So, yeah, like, kind of dismantling that inaccurate perception that if you're a solo female traveler, it's going to be, like, exceptionally more challenging, or you're going to face so many more barriers, which is not, it's not always true. Like, men could face these same barriers and even more, arguably.
Yeah.
And this is actually a discussion I had in a previous podcast episode. Like, why do we even have the term solo female travel? It does acknowledge that we face extra challenges sometimes as females in society, and like discrimination against women, and having this separate category kind of empowers all the women who do it anyway in the face of all this
Yeah.
adversity. So it could be a disempowering term, but it could also be empowering. It's like depending on how you frame it.
Yeah, that's very interesting. Yeah.
But I do like your idea of like just dismantling all the stigma we have about it. It's like that prevents women from doing it in the first place.
Yes, yeah. That's I think this is the reason probably I was working for 10 years in the NGO sector and finally transitioning to my own company, Travel Atelier, called. And one of the sections that I do is female-led tours for women travelers because I really want Central Asia to get used to female travelers, that it becomes so normal, because there were times that when women would be coming, people would be still questioning, wow, there were always more men travelers, and when they see women travelers, they're like, oh, that's interesting, is she married, or why she's traveling, what for, why she's here. But more women will be coming. It will mean that people living here, local people, will get used to it. It will also inspire a lot of girls to do the same.
Yes, I love that you're part of the tourism industry to promote this. This is something that I would love to get into as well more. I've been a tour guide in Chicago and Madrid, and it's just so fun and so rewarding to create experiences. What advice do you have about responsible tourism and being a mindful traveler when you go to specifically places like Kyrgyzstan?
Mm-hmm. I think for me is the intention. When I was, for example, traveling, I was also always questioning what do I want from the place where I am right now. just to eat the food and just go through the sightseeing, or really feel the atmosphere, the people, get to know what is it like being there. And for me, the conscious traveling is slow traveling. What I do is very slow traveling. For women-led tours, we always visit women here, because we live in one big world, but it's very nice, for example, how we're talking. We're totally from different countries, from different backgrounds. We look different, we talk different, but we're trying to find one language, connect and talk, and I think this is so beautiful. And the same here, when people come here, I want women, for example, to meet female-led workshop. If they do crafts, to meet the woman who does crafts. If they're entrepreneurs, meet women entrepreneurs, so that they can share, something unique. Yeah. And
just exchanging that dialogue, those conversations. Yeah. Creating the community.
Yes, yeah, creating the community. Yeah.
That's so beautiful.
Yeah, as it says, like, we're not the same, but we're one, yeah? And I think it's beautiful.
Well, that's so powerful that you're a part of something like that and that you started this. Can you talk about briefly, like, how you started it and yeah, like, what motivated you?
There's an app called Nomad Her.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, yeah, Nomad Her. And I joined in 2022 as well. I think I was the first one to join in from Central Asia. And I really love how they also unite women around the world. And when I was in Bishkek back then, I said, guys, I can host you. Like, I live in Bishkek. If you need a place to stay or if you need some information, I'm there for you, And later on, when I was just traveling myself around Issyk, I was staying at female-led workshop areas. So there's like a lady who does crafts, a lady who does, certain things, and so on and so on. And I loved it because I studied and I lived and traveled in other countries, and I met the same woman. Who share the same passion. And I thought, when you're out in another country, sometimes if you don't know about them, about the women or people living there, you might just literally not feel the country, not to have this full experience, emerging experience. So I probably this was something that I would want if I would go somewhere. For me, it's so important to meet people and to see the country from their perspectives.
Absolutely. So, like, having a local's expertise is, like, invaluable when you're traveling somewhere that you've never been before. And I'll definitely put your contact information so people can hit you up if they're traveling to Kyrgyzstan anytime in the future. But just some wrap-up questions. What is a dream destination for you?
Hawaii. I would love to, especially lately. Yeah, would love to go to Hawaii.
Well, let me know, girl. I'll be there.
Send some pictures.
Absolutely. Secondly, what is a memorable meal you've had when traveling?
Memorable meal. Halo in Philippines. This is oh my god, it was so good. It's an ice cream. It's like sundae, but I don't know, the taste was like, something from paradise. I would love that. I would love that.
Sounds super refreshing.
Halo from the Philippines.
Okay. I'm making a mental note for when I go to Southeast Asia. That's currently my dream area to travel to.
Yeah.
And lastly, what is a special place in your heart?
I would say Karakol, yeah, my hometown. I opened Airbnb in Karakol. It's my own apartment in Karakol. And at some point, I really want to move there and settle there, open a guest house, and welcome people there.
Wow.
Literally like come and show the surrounding mountains and just sit there and make them feel like home. And yeah.
Well, I think that's such a beautiful vision that you shared with us today. Thank you so much for your time, and I'll leave all your contacts in the show notes. Besides your main Instagram, is there any other that you want me to put your links for people to find you?
No, I think it's Instagram is absolutely fine. Yes, thank you very much. It was a pleasure talking to you, Lydia. Please definitely let me know if you're coming to Kyrgyzstan. To Bishkek.
I will, 100%. It will be a future trip one of these days. Thank you so much for listening to the Kyrgyz Wanderlust podcast. Again, my name is Lydia, and you can find me on social media in the About section of this podcast. Please rate and review if you found value or insight from this, and I hope to see you in the next episode.